Welcome to PintheQ Productions. If you are interested in the culture of the fire service and keeping tradition alive, you have come to the right place. Now sit back and relax with your brothers and sisters and enjoy the show. Be sure to like and subscribe on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. For more information on PintheQ Productions, visit www.pintheq.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ Podcast. We are in Florida, sunny Florida.
Cold.
For you, it's cold.
Yep.
For me, this is nice. You know, leaving in a sweatshirt, typically it's about 20 degrees, 30 degrees right now, 18 degrees. So I'll take this.
Yeah.
To me, this isn't cold.
This is cold.
For you, it's cold. For me, it's beautiful. So we're at a Harley dealer, which is Crystal Harley. Mm-hmm. And what's the name of this town?
Crystal River, Homosassa Springs.
Homosassa Springs in Florida, sunny Florida. I saw a manatee. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be brisky because we're going to Daytona Beach, and it'll be 28 when we leave.
28
in the morning.
See, 28 to me, that seems normal around this time of year. So yeah, I like Florida. I can get used to this, I think. So before we get any further into the beautiful Florida, at this really nice Harley dealership. This is the nicest Harley dealership I've ever seen, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, this is pretty top notch.
Yeah, they just finished it.
Yeah, it's
been here for a couple of years now.
Very nice. So before we get any further, sir, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Okay. Bill Whateley, the president of our Firefighter Motorcycle Club, Smoke Divers. I've been fire service for 32 years.
And that's what brings me to you and how this show is going to get started, because I think that what you do, what your association does in your club is important.
Yeah.
It's unique. There's not a lot of clubs like yours that I'm aware of personally, and I'm interested in hearing how all those started. But the way I start all my shows are pretty much the same, and that is, how did you get involved in the fire service? I mean, how did this all start for you?
Long time. Working with my father in the metal manufacturing company, and then getting out there, getting in trouble.
Right.
And then decided I'd better get in there and start doing something. So I started volunteering.
And where was that?
In Homosassa, right here.
Oh, here,
Spring
okay.
Springs,
Okay.
right down the street. And I did total of 10 years there.
And how old were you when that started?
18.
Okay, so very young.
Yeah. I went from the volunteer structure to full-time.
How'd that all start? Were you applying to different places, or would they call for you? How'd that all start?
No, I actually was volunteering for quite some time. And then I met an elderly gentleman that was retired from Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
And Harvey Crick. And he kept telling me, all this training you're doing, all this stuff you're doing, you need to go to a full-time position somewhere. But I liked the volunteer structure, so I stayed for a while. And I just continued to go to school and more school. But
and all this time you're still doing the metal working, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
still working for my dad. But and that paid for all my schooling. So that was a good thing, you know. But I went on to go on to Marion County, which I started over there, and full-time.
What was that like for you when you finally got paid to do what you love?
It was good. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I definitely did. But I stayed in the volunteer structure, and I also actually started in a volunteer fire station in a full-time fire department.
Okay.
So the
It's
station,
like a combination department.
Yeah. So the station I had, the volunteer actual structure, MSTU, they were paying for the salary. I was employee number 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Good seniority.
Yeah, that's great seniority.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the volunteer structure, and that's why they put me there, because of the no conflict, you know?
Okay.
And it was a great brotherhood, and it went on from there. And eventually as the state changed the regulations, the older time persons couldn't continue, and they went full-time all the way through, which was a benefit too, as well, to the community.
And what schedule were you working then?
24/48.
Okay. Yeah, it's great.
But I was one of the scratch hogs where we were overtimes.
Mm-hmm.
So any overtime there was to get, we took it.
Sure.
So it wasn't just the money; it was because we were there.
How was the department structured at that time? Were you an engine company, ladder company? Were you pretty much you had a ladder and engine, everything together?
Yeah, our station was unique because it was a volunteer station, and they had an MSTO, which is a special taxing district, and they had the funds there. We had heavy rescue, ladders, 2 engines, tanker truck, 2 brush trucks. So it was pretty loaded.
Yeah, that's good.
And then, of course, the ambulance rescue, which that's what they stuck us on because the volunteers wanted the fire trucks.
Right.
But thereafter, we worked on the second engine and then went from there.
Now, were you a paramedic or an EMT?
Paramedic.
Mm-hmm. Was that something you wanted to do, or is that something you were forced to do because of the station you were at?
I was actually one before I even started. I started school early, as my uncle made me do.
Smart. He took care of you. Yeah. Smart.
I started school early, and before I even entered into a professional service as the paid staff, I already had from the volunteer structure all those classes done. So when I walked,
so you were ahead of the game. Really.
I was a lot, but wasn't looking for that.
Right.
But when I first put my application in, the lieutenant was at the desk, told me right off the bat, "We're not going to pay you for all this stuff." And I'm like, "I'm not looking to get paid for all this stuff. I'm just wanting an entry in."
Right.
Got hired the same day.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, just had a lot.
It's a good thing you listened to your uncle. It made you marketable.
Yeah. It was. I did a lot of safety training, hazard material training, from every aspect: high angle rescue, search and rescue. I went through a whole bunch of stuff just to get onto a department.
Right.
But I kept under that, on my belt, so it paid off in the end.
Sure, absolutely. That kind of stuff, that type of training, education, and we preach it all the time on the show. How training is important. Try to get as much as you can. Never turn down training.
It's knowledge,
especially now, because it makes you more marketable, like it did for you.
Yeah.
Luckily, you listened to your uncle and you took that advice.
Yeah.
Now you were in the career department how long?
A total of 32 years.
Wow, long time.
Yeah.
A lot goes on in that 32 years, right?
Yes, it does.
What do you recall the most about? Because we have a lot of young firefighters that watch the show, and we also have a lot of civilians, people that aren't firefighters, or maybe have firefighters in their family, or they're just curious. Explain to me what that brotherhood is like to you, what it meant to you, and what the brotherhood is about for you.
It's sitting down and being able to talk to each other without having any discrepancies, or of course you always have discrepancies, but you work them out.
Right.
Each person that you have on your crew has your back, no matter what you do. The brotherhood is a strong bond, as we do in our, not only in just the fire service, our club.
Right.
But the brotherhood and sisterhood out there is a very unique and special. It's different in every aspect out there, I would presume, but we had a very tight-knit group. And the county that I worked in was very large, 33 stations.
Wow, that is big.
Yeah, but we knew every one of them.
Right, that's great. That's huge, right? That many stations and everybody knows each other. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
The fire service, when I talk about brotherhood and we talk about that kitchen table talk, even what we're doing right now, a lot of people will mention that you're having a bad day at home, you're having financial problems, you have a death in the family. You can go to that kitchen table and somehow find solace.
Right.
Would you say that's true for you as well when you had that kitchen table time?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And your camaraderie goes a long way. You can wind up walking away from the table laughing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you can be there, have the worst day, and end up walking away laughing.
Exactly.
Sometimes breaking chops is like the best thing happened for you.
Sure.
That's one great thing about fire service. If we have any type of weakness, we have someone there to poke at it, which is great.
Yeah. We poked at some, but they poked back.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. So after all that time in the fire service, 32 years, what do you recall the most about it, thinking back at that time?
A lot of long hours.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the fires. Not most people like the fires, but I enjoyed it, and I liked the special rescues and high angle rescues and search and rescues and stuff like that. Hazardous material, I had all the training, but wasn't my cup of tea. So there was a squad for that. But I just liked interior attacks and interior stuff, where we had some incidents happen there and lost a few, as we didn't, as some people do. But I just like the fire service in general, and any part of it, actually.
Do you recall one of those losses that you were involved in?
Yeah, we had a structural collapse. One particular, 6 of us went in, 5 came out.
Now, was he part of your station?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. How did you guys go about dealing with that?
We talked about it, and we just basically just round-tabled. We never reached out to anything. Of course, back then, there wasn't any, any special tactics that he would use to talk to you, or, stuff like that, which is very important these days, because people are committing suicide right and left out of these fire services. It's just a tragedy.
Yep.
But the Brotherhood was tight, so we worked our own way through it, and it helped.
One of the things that we talk about on the show is that the questions always are asked of us: how do you start your day? I'm sure you guys all start your day the same way. You check your rig, had breakfast, all that stuff, or dinner or supper, and then you go on a run, and then 6 go, 5 come back.
Right.
How do you start over? How do you go back to work? How do you get your mind back into the job and into this? How does it happen?
When the bell rings, you go.
Exactly. And it's funny, you and I understand that, and a lot of smoke eaters watching us understand that. But when you tell someone that who's not in the fire service, it's hard for them to swallow that.
Right.
Yeah. How do you get back on the truck? How do you go back and do that job, knowing that could happen to you? You're watching your own mortality,
right,
in a sense. But you're absolutely right. That's how you do it. You just do it.
You just go.
Did you guys have any time down at all, or you just get right back into it?
It was a busy week that week, and that happened late at night. So we didn't get much downtime because it was a pretty big structure fire. So
even when you got done with that call, you already ended your tour already?
It was basically clock out time in the morning when we got done coming back, cleaning the rigs and cleaning all the supplies and stuff. And then the chief come in and decided to tell us to stay, and they were going to give us time off, but none of us did.
Nobody wanted to go?
No.
Yeah. That's a shame, man. And I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. That sucks. That's the thing that sucks about the job, obviously. Yeah. But what's great is that everyone was able to work through that. Did you find yourself towards the end of your career at 32 years? I mean, obviously you're one of the senior guys in the house, right?
Yep.
Tell me about that. What was that for you, mentoring some of the new firefighters coming in and trying to deal with the new generation of firefighters?
It was fun. I mean, you get to play with them,
right?
But the guys were a different variety of people. Training was a little less, so we put them through the tough stuff.
Good.
We toughened them up because we could see the training was starting to depreciate. State requirements. Somebody gets injured in the fire academy. State has to shut stuff down. They make it a little less harder, which made a lot of weaker departments and manpower. So we didn't think that was right. So when they got to our stations, we did heavy training. In Marion County Fire Rescue, they preach training. So the guys didn't like it, but there was a few times I didn't either. But it was a long day, long hours, and they'd call you in the middle of nothing and say your truck has to come in for training.
That's great, though.
And we're like, okay, we're going to do training. What is it going to be? You'll find out when you get there. And then next thing you know, we just fought 2 structure fires, and now we're going into a burn situation and a training evolution,
right?
And we're beat, But that's the way the job would go anyway, So
absolutely, it's real life training.
Yeah. So you just work through it, and then you go back, and if you're lucky to get a shower to get back on that truck to go, we probably never, most of the time, never made it back to the station before they pushed us out for another call.
Wow.
Right out of training. But,
So a lot of sleepless nights at the station you were at?
yeah. Marion County was a busy place. I mean, a lot of people out there in the world, firefighters sleep all the time. I wish I did. I still can't do it to this day. I still get 3 hours of sleep every night from the time I retired.
Wow.
That's all I get. But the tones go out. We basically rolled right into the door. Never even got out of the truck. People are running in to run to the bathroom real quick and run back out. You know.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things to this day that if we're around the kitchen table, we'd run. The bell goes off. It's that pivotal decision: should I go to the bathroom or should I get in the truck?
Right.
And most of the time, you'll see everybody beeline for the bathroom.
Yeah. Then you got stuck because you can't go.
Right.
And so you got to hold it the whole time.
Yeah. In the volunteer service, that was a little more tough because you had to get on the truck. At least when you're at work, you're automatic. You're assigned to the seat, so you're getting on the truck.
Right.
So you have a time to go to the bathroom.
Right. Exactly.
But it's funny you mention that because everyone jokes about that. It's a big deal.
In the volunteer days, the state didn't have any real restrictions. So I learned a lot of valuable assets to the fire service before I went into full-time service.
Right.
Because back in the days, when we did training, we just thought of something to go do. So the old-time wood frame homes that are depleted, we'd burn them, and we'd stay inside and crawl out of the ashes. When administration or the volunteer chiefs were saying, get out, we wouldn't get out. We'd stay there until it was burnt to nothing, crawl out of the ashes laughing. But you can't
Imagine
do
doing that today.
You can't do that
my
today.
gosh.
Today you'd be done.
Yeah, they indict you today if you try to do something like that.
For real. But we had a lot of fun in those days because you learned a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot.
So out of those 32 years, what the hell was it like for you to have to retire? Was it hard to walk away?
Yeah, it definitely was. I was ready, but it definitely was. I could have probably went another 15 years out there. There's politics in every adventure, and that does kind of kill the apple on the tree.
Sure.
As far as the fun and pleasure of the job, and that's what the folks are dealing with these days.
Right.
So there's not just the fire stress that they have to deal with and the patients or the personnel that they lose. It's the stress of just the management in general and
right.
Political
That's
parts
everywhere,
and stuff.
man. That doesn't matter if, from Jersey to Florida. It's the same. It's the same stuff, man.
Yeah.
I always say it's the same circus, different clowns.
Right.
Yeah. So you were training and teaching for a long time while you were still a firefighter, correct?
Yes.
And then what was the rank you left to retire at?
Captain.
Captain, good for you, Cap. So you have this training company. Tell me about that.
I actually started training in 1982.
Okay.
I was an American Red Cross training instructor. I was one of the service center directors throughout there, and then I moved into disaster service work. Did lots of disaster service work, and then when I went into the full-time fire service, they didn't have a training center or a training informational. So I started the first training center medically in the fire department that I started in full-time. And
that's great.
From that part. And then, of course, it grew, and I got to be out of the training center and on the road again and back out on the trucks where I wanted to be. And they were doing well with that and still are to this day. I still teach. I do basic life, ACLS, advanced cardiac life. I do all the infectious control, the new Narcan stuff that's out there for the lay world, AED, the general stuff that.
Right.
And I do.
Now you do that for the lay person too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My most clientele are nurses and doctors and stuff like that because as lay persons are kind of holding back.
And that's ACLS.
Yeah, and
right.
or BLS.
Okay.
But the lay persons are kind of backing off quite a bit these days.
Oh yeah.
Because of the issues out there, of course. But we're trying to lure them back in and show them the respective part of how you can help somebody, and it works.
Yeah, a lot of this, hands-only CPR now is a big deal.
Yeah.
People are talking about that, and things like the coronavirus doesn't help much.
Yeah.
You have all these,
Exactly. I did a class over last year. We had 2 back-to-back hurricanes here in Florida, but it didn't hit our coastline. We thought it was, but it actually hit the Bahama Islands instead. I had classes that whole week, booked solid, so we didn't know where the hurricanes were going, so I postponed those classes and moved them down a week. I had one lady that I called and said, we got to move your class down, and she said, we can't. We have to, because there's a hurricane, we don't know where it's going. And she really was reluctant not to want to do it, and it had to be that particular day. And coming to find out, the class that she was wanting me to do was for kids in the community and their parents and other stuff. So finding out that her child was struck by lightning on a soccer field.
Wow.
With no storm, no rain, no clouds, no nothing, just out of the blue, got struck by lightning it separated and went down both shoulders through his whole body and burned out his shoes off his feet. And the coach and the dad did CPR on him and started working with that. Did an awesome job that they could do. As we got talking about the class, and she said it's his 2nd year anniversary, we want to come in for that point. I'm like, I understand, and I didn't realize that he was still alive.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I just assumed he'd passed away by the story you just told.
And so did I. So I didn't have the heart. So we did it during the storm.
That's awesome.
Good
for you, man.
And I'm in the class, setting it up, teaching. There's a bunch of kids there, and I'm looking for the kid that, is going to have a deficit, and you get struck by a bolt of lightning and you die, and your shoes and your clothes burn off your body. And
right, how can you possibly be okay?
There's going to be something, yeah. And I couldn't find him. So finally I went over to the father and I said, where's your son? And he introduced me to him, and he was just as goofy as all the other kids in the room. And it still to this day has no significant something visible to react. So CPR in general and the skills that they did were really good. All yet, that the father still sidetracked me and asked me what better he could have done.
There's no more he could have done, it sounds like. Done everything right.
The answer I gave him.
Yeah.
There's nothing. He's alive.
So I guess that just will lead me right into my next question, and that was, what does training do for you? I mean, you just answered that question, I mean, that's, right?
I tell people in my classes, as I did one last night, I got home 11:30ish, but there's young people in these classes, and there's young nurses and also daycare workers that are in the classes and stuff. They have no idea what's going to hit them one day.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
And if they don't, if they're lucky. But we talk about it, and my colleagues here in the club, we talk about it where we know when we remember our first call in those instances, and we never forget it. And they won't either, but they need to be prepared for it. And they need to be prepared for the harsh background behind it.
Absolutely.
And I try to prepare them, and even in the classes that I do, that they are mentally as best as they can possibly be.
Right. Because that moment, people panic in those situations,
They do.
To keep them calm and keep their head straight, keep them focused on something.
Yeah, and even though they're highly trained, they still blank out, and then no save.
Right.
But if they have the correct training, and I tell them, like we do in the fire service, and I emphasize this every time in class, that if they pre-plan, and of course firefighters don't mention pre-plan to a firefighter, because it's always, oh boy, here we go again. Every year, same building. But if they pre-plan their staff or their patients or their children in the daycare world, they can actually know what skill they're going to be using and won't have to think about a second guess.
Right.
And they're more prepared for it mentally, and they can do the job.
And I agree with you. I think the mental part of being prepared is just as important as a skill set.
It is.
Because if you're not there mentally, any skill you have, you're not going to be able to perform. So I agree with you. That's a good point.
It is.
So if someone's in this area and they want to get your information and have you come out and train them, how do they find you?
I have a website.
What's that?
It's the Central Florida, the College of Central Florida.
College of Central Florida, okay.
Yeah. and CPR Training Center.
Okay, great.
And then I have a Facebook page.
And what's that?
Which is the I'm called the CPR guy.
The CPR guy? That's easy to remember.
Because I've been around so long, they always say, "Hey, that's CPR guy," and I picked up the name. And, okay, I'll just keep the name,
Yeah, it's good.
But and I said I got the website and the Facebook page and phone call. But honestly, I'm pushing people to do emails and Facebook correspondence and starting the internet website page, but
Definitely it's easier to manage.
it is.
Yeah.
But I get 20 to 30 phone calls or better. As a matter of fact, January I had 72 phone calls.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and then you got to return them.
Mhm.
But it's all word of mouth.
Right, okay.
My customers are pretty much all word of mouth.
That's the best kind.
And I've been doing it.
Yeah. Then you know what works.
Yeah, and so I always ask,
Right.
where do you work or who do you work with, so I can set them up with the correct class and their scheduling. But where'd you hear about me? I always ask them that, and so told me.
That's good.
Word
Word of mouth is always the best because then it says that this works and this person, I recommend this person, which goes a long way. The old common handshake kind of went away, which sucks, We need to bring that back.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
So-
And they do a lot of that.
Yeah, it's good. So you remained very busy with the fire service, and then you kept on now with the training, which is awesome. So you stepped away from the fire service, you retired, and then tell me about this club you got.
Well, not only the club, as far as the fire service goes, we kept the training, and our club is dedicated, and we all know what training is about and what it's for. I wrote a program years ago. It's called, because we all ride motorcycles, it's called Bikers Down Emergency Response. And
What a great idea.
I wrote the book, and I based it off of my wildland survival skills in the class that I teach for wildland survival. Basically, they go hand in hand because bikers don't ride in the city. They go out of the city to ride in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And then when they have an incident, they don't know what to do, and other people as well. So we decided to publicize it a little bit more. And this Harley Davidson right here was the first one that actually brought us in, and we set up in their back parking lot where their riding academy area is. And we have a huge tarp that's got a painted intersection on it, a wrecked car, and basically a broken down bike, getting crushed. And then there was some of our colleagues in our other areas of the club that knows people from Universal Studios in Orlando.
Cool.
So they make bodies look really good or bad. And we did publicational programs for them. We've had people come back already, and if it wasn't for the program, they would have lost the life of that person in the accident. And it's touching when someone actually gets knocked off of a motorcycle. This is a real incident, by the way. They got knocked off the bike, got T-boned in the middle of nowhere. She had 16 broken bones. And when she regained consciousness, she's trying to find her husband and couldn't find him. He was still attached to the bike. She used every skill that she...
With 16 broken bones, she did this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And probably really didn't realize it.
Yeah, well, the adrenaline.
Yeah. And as she tried to figure out what to do, she said the only thing she remembered was hearing my voice in that program telling her what to do.
Wow.
Chilling.
Man, if there was ever a commitment to what you're doing and why you keep doing it, that's it, man.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We do in the club, we train. So if we're out there, we all know pretty much what we're going to do and who's going to do what, when, and how. On the side note of medical training, we do motorcycle training. Education on a motorcycle is utmost important. You watch the sheriff's offices go out and they do their serpentines and their riding courses and stuff, and you're like, wow, I wish I could be like him. You can.
Just got to train.
It's not that difficult, and we train in our own in-house class so everybody feels comfortable, and they have more education behind that wheel, and they're more comfortable and competent on their riding skills. Our Smoke Diver Firefighter Motorcycle Club, we started it off I had been in a previous club before, and it just didn't feel Brotherhood to me. And I decided that I like the old frame school, the traditional fire service world, back like we did in the volunteer days. And I decided to start a club on my own and designed a patch and started working with it. And a couple of the other persons that were in the other clubs decided I like that too. And they jumped on board, and we've been flying ever since.
How many members do you have right now?
14 in this local area.
Great.
And
how many chapters are there of this club?
We're still National Chapter 1.
Wow, that's great.
We haven't grown outside of Florida, and not that we can't, is just that we turn it down. We want to stair-step it, and we're waiting for adjacent counties or adjacent state. I don't want to jump from here to California, because then the camaraderie isn't there.
Correct.
I want to have a link to a brotherhood, and I don't want it to be over a phone or a computer. I want to be able to ride there and say hello, or have at least the next crew over do the same thing. So people from Germany and all over the world have actually wanted to be involved in our organization, in our club, but we just haven't accepted that until we actually do make that stair-step move. It's a big thing to us.
Yeah.
Here locally, we do a lot.
Tell me some things you do locally.
The charities that we host the Foster Parents Association.
Okay.
They're our main charity. We do the supplies that they need for schools and their education, and we do the supplies they need for Christmases and just whatever they need, basically, the funds we try to get them for.
And how do you raise those funds?
Motorcycle rides, and bikers are given. They are a give. They give.
Sure do.
Very heartful people.
I noticed that a lot of people who ride are some of the best people to give.
Yeah,
you know,
they're broke themselves, but they'll give $20.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah. We do charity cookouts, which we have a few, actually 5 coming up throughout the summer for other events that we get the money for. We not only just do the Foster Parents Association, we also have victims that get burned out of their homes, and we're ready and waiting for that. If that happens, we have a closed closet. New stuff.
Wow.
We have funds prepared and links prepared to give that help to them that they need it that night of. We actually had one year a family that got burned out, 3 kids and 2 adults that were in the house. They got out. They lost everything Christmas Eve night, which is, and you hear that tragic story every year.
Right.
But there was no avenue for them to reach out with, and someone called me and let me know. And before that night, we've already, of course, it was wee hours of the morning, we already had everything that they needed, and we met them at basically not too far from here in the county park, and we gave them a Christmas on the side of the road. And
that's awesome. And
they got clothes new, they got bicycles, everything that the kid would probably want to have to sidetrack that aspect in their life at the moment, the hardship that they're going to go through.
Yeah, you took something devastating and you turned it into a positive. It's great.
And helped them out as fast as we possibly could.
It's awesome.
Cancer victims, we had a girl that was here local, and she had terminal brain cancer. And we did a huge fundraiser ride for her, and the outcome of that was phenomenal. It was a last-minute thing. Can you do this? Because we heard through the grapevine that they've been trying to get this going for some time, and because they needed help. And I'm never one to say no. So
sounds like that.
Yeah. The guy's like, "Come on, guy," but they're good. They came to me. And when they told me what their story was and what they needed to do, okay, well, that'll be next Sunday.
Wow.
Well, they were turned down from all these other agencies and stuff, and no, that'll be Sunday. And it was such short notice. We had a line of 3 wide bikes that showed up to do the ride. And not only did they just do the ride and the small $10 fee that we do that, they just dropped buckets full of money because they didn't have a place to stay. They needed to be in Tampa, not here, for that girl. And the last story, little short but sweet, she has fully recovered.
Wow.
Yeah. They got the best doctors. They got the best aspects of treatment. The stress was lower because they got to live right there at the hospital. We paid for that. So they got under the program. We got them in it. And she made a full recovery to this point.
That's why I love talking to guys like you, because people don't understand what goes behind what you're doing. They just see guys on motorcycles cruising around, girls and guys on motorcycles cruising around, and they just think it's a fun thing to do. It's a chapter. That's what they do. Not even knowing what you just told me.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand what you're actually doing and what the club means and those type of charities. Just by you setting a family up, having a place to stay while their daughter's having treatment, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We don't think of it that way. It's just...
But people should know.
Somebody that we help.
Right. But you don't, because that's what you want to do when you're kind heart and everyone in your club. But people should know what you're doing because that's important.
It is. We also help the veterans. They do a lot out there. So they come to our events and our rides and such, and we do the same to them. And so we kind of mutually work together. Veterans for a Cause is a local organization here in town. I surprised one of the guys, there's a Purple Heart, with a solid gold challenge coin.
Very cool.
It was during our last year's 9/11 event that we did, and he was surprised that was even going to happen. He didn't know. Actually, my club members didn't even know I was going to do it. But we don't turn anybody down unless it's something that doesn't sound legit. We do not go and do any kind of fundraising or support to any large corporational. If the money doesn't stay to the family,
good for you. Right, so you're vetting all this stuff that you're doing
to the local, and it can be out of our area, but we got to see it touch the hand.
Absolutely,
it doesn't go in the big pockets.
Yeah, good for you.
We make sure that last year we wound up. It's been growing every year. Next year it's probably going to get bigger because we got more funds coming, but and avenues to get those funds. But people are giving. Bikers are giving. But we sponsored 5 families for Christmas that didn't have anything and weren't going to have anything. So we've went from 1 family to 5,
wow.
And we're moving up from there. We can get many more, but you see some people out there are greedy, if you will, and they're
out there.
They are, but we can read through the lines. I'll interview my event coordinator Steve. He does a lot of that footwork too, and we interview these people and we eye to eye them. And no, they're driving a Mercedes. I don't even own a Mercedes.
Yeah, yeah.
So no, but we can see the people that need the help, and those are the ones that usually don't ask. It's usually sent to us by somebody else.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that the people who truly are in need aren't the people banging your door down. It's someone else going, hey, you should probably look at this person, or they tell you a story about this person that needs, or this family that needs something. That's typically how it works. Yeah,
one year we got done doing our nightly Christmas, because what we do is unique. Started this very first day of when we started this club, and we all dress up in cartoon characters. I'm Winnie the Pooh. I do stuff myself. But we all have cartoon character fun, and we also ride on the motorcycles with those costumes, and we go door to door to those children's homes.
That's cool.
And we deliver the gifts to that door in costume during the day for them. One year we had the trail truck, we call it, behind the bikes, still packed full. That was my vehicle, and my wife was driving, and we ran at it was Christmas Eve night, done, dark, and we had stuff piled and nowhere to go. So we're just going to bring it back and label it and put it to the side for burn victims and whatever. And we were stopped at the gas station to get fuel, and we had costumes and, all that stuff going. So somebody asked us about what we were doing and everything. We told them what we were doing, and she said, I don't know if they would want me to tell you about this, but I know a family. And I'm like, okay,
we'll go right now.
Yeah, and we did. Actually, we did.
That's great.
And we unloaded everything we had in the truck because it fit perfectly for their age groups.
Perfect.
It was done. So it was
It's amazing how things like that happen,
It
right?
is.
It's like the universe is talking to you or something. It's
It
weird.
is. Yeah, it is. And then it's a good feeling that, that you can watch somebody go right off on their first bicycle.
And those people were completely,
They didn't
no clue, right? Yeah.
They didn't want to answer the door. That we had to actually show identification, our badges or whatever. But we had to show identification. They were not going to open the door. They were scared.
Right.
And
They certainly weren't expecting it. That's
no,
for sure.
and it's late at night.
Right.
But they were happy then.
That's great. And then you keep in touch with most of these people afterwards, or?
We see them, but no, we don't pry. A lot of people have their dignity, and we respect and honor that. If we help them another year, we try to find others to help.
Good.
But if we do see them again, it's a hi. How are you doing? Good. Don't discuss it.
Excellent.
And move on.
Excellent.
Because people have their dignity, and they don't want that refreshed in their head, and we don't push for stuff like that. And so we do a lot of different fundraisers out there for just about anybody and everything we can do.
I think it's great learning about everything you told me through your motorcycle club, because honestly, I didn't know that you guys did all that stuff, and that's the very reason that you're here, because I've been following you on Facebook and checking out what you've been posting, and I watched some of the events that you saw, and that's honestly what caught my eye to what was going on. That's why I wanted to speak with you. But it's even better to hear it in person and to hear everything you're doing for your community and for people in need. And again, I think what's important for people to understand about this is that this is all on you guys. No one's getting a paycheck for any of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, this is all out of the kindness of your heart.
Yeah, we're a broke club. We do scratch the money up and save to decide to buy our new patches for our new members and stuff like that, and then that's about all we got, because we put her back out into the community again.
So it truly is a brotherhood then. I mean, this isn't just a word. It's a motto. I mean, this is what you guys live with. Right,
and like I said, when we first started this club, my full theory of this club was a brother-sisterhood family organization. Our youngest member, she's 8 years old. And
that's cool.
And in the biker world, she's patched in, if you will.
Right.
But and she went through her little stages for being patched in, and she's proud of doing those things. But we don't put people through the mill. But when some join our club, there's prospecting that they do, there's probationary that they do, and stuff like that. And we don't do that. We respect the dignity of the persons that worked in the fire service. They already did their time.
Right.
They already had probation. They already had all of those particulars. So if they were a firefighter and of any aspect, it doesn't matter what area you come from wildland fire to structural fire to
volunteer career,
right. Military fire. It really doesn't matter. We have something to talk about.
What does this club mean to you, man? I mean, like, you've been talking about all these other people. What's it mean to you?
My club this year, now I would say our club, it's a family. We do a lot together, not only just ride bikes. Summertime, we'll go kayaking, and we'll do swimming. We'll just do whatever. That we stay as a group. Someone has an issue, we're knocking on the door. They say they don't need help, we're knocking on the door anyway. We're a family.
It's great.
And the people that we do bring them in, they don't understand totally about the family thing, but they'll soon see that they don't get pushed back. They're just right there where everybody else is.
That's great.
We do have rank order and stuff like that, but we don't push the buttons on any of those things. We've all had our days in the fire service world, or where however you worked, and that's where we respect that person's and stuff. We're opening up a new chapter as far as medical side.
Okay.
Because, like myself, my wife's a nurse, and we have other persons out there that are not firefighters, but they are medical providers. So we decided to open up another side to our club. It'll still be Smoke Divers Firefighter Motorcycle Club, but
Okay. So was it like a sister organization too?
it'll be under our same name logo.
Okay.
But it'll be the medical crew
Okay.
instead of fire crew. It'll be the medical crew.
Cool.
And they'll have their own separate patch.
Right.
And they'll go under our bylaws and stuff. But like I said, we have parties together. We have Christmases together. We have New Year's together. And we have our arguments. We have our toughs and battles. But in the end, we're back at the table.
What I love is that you got guys that are part of this club that are here right now watching. They don't have to be here. They could be doing anything, but they're
Right.
spending the time to be here with you and support you. And it says a lot about your club and about your membership.
Yeah.
Before I keep you off the hot seat, because I know you probably want to be done with this, but
Mhm.
you have a flag that's on the table here. And obviously this means something to you, because I often tell guests that come on the show, bring something that means something to you. Bring your helmet, bring your jacket. Behind me, you have a vest, right? Your jacket, and you have your helmet from where you work. Tell me about this flag.
The flag actually was one of our volunteer firefighters, Mr. Garber. He was pretty much the first contact I had when I first started volunteering, and he was a firefighter forever and a day. He pretty much knew everything there was to know that I thought of. He was from Syracuse, New York, and he did 35 years in Syracuse, New York on a ladder truck. And that was tough stuff. He moved to Florida and started volunteering again and started working. And so he kind of hugged me under his wing and stuff, and he pushed me through, everything. Didn't have any family. They were all passed away and stuff. So he wrote a will that his possessions and the fire service stuff would be mine, which I was surprised, didn't expect anything like that.
Right.
But that's his flag, his funeral flag.
That means something to you.
Yeah.
And so he was your mentor.
Yes, he was.
It's interesting because that is always a question I ask. And who was the mentor, or who was the person that you could think of, and it's right on the table.
Yes.
That's great.
I have his badge too as well.
Very cool. That's good. And then someday you'll pass that on to someone else, which is great. Before I let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank outside of your brother there that we just spoke about? Is there anyone you'd like to thank as far as the club or the association or anything that you got going on right now?
Yeah, all of our members. They beat feet. They work hand in hand, and they work hard. All of us put an effort in, and some put a little more. And those are the persons we appreciate the most, of course, but everybody's all appreciated. Our sponsors out there, like Harley Davidson, Crystal Harley Davidson.
Yeah, this is great,
here.
man. To give you a place to stay for the day, that's awesome.
Right, out of the cold weather today, out in here. But we do cookouts and fundraisers for them, not for their money pocket. They actually provide all the stuff for us to do.
Wow.
We have actually our grill. It's made like a tanker truck fire. It's a 16-foot grill on a 25-foot trailer with a roof.
Wow.
It's got a 24-foot extension roof that comes out over it.
That's awesome.
And it's got a 16-foot ladder on the top with our logo and a bronze axe above that. It's a 6-door barbecue grill.
Wow.
It's massive.
You call that a grill?
It's a grill, yeah. It's got an oven inside. It's all wood-based and charcoal-based. But
very cool.
It's smoker / barbecue type of,
Yeah.
And they love it because we bring it here and nobody stands in line because it holds so much food. People just boom, boom, boom right through. But Harley Davidson's been a real giving organization to us. Our 9/11 ride that's coming up this year, we're already working on it. I started actually in January, but it's moving right along, and it's going to be a special one this year as well, as it always is. We do a lot of different topics, and we name everybody out there. We have the actual 9/11 wall, monument wall, that's here, with the names engraved on them, as like the regular military walls. And we have that wall set up. And
That's great.
We do a bike ride. It's free, of course. And we don't collect anything for anyone. Everything's free for that event. And the Sheriff's Department does a good job with us, Citrus County, and they lead the ride for us so everybody's safe. And Harley Davidson turned around and said, "How much does all that cost?" A lot.
Right.
And Jewel Lamb is the owner. Her and her husband Steve. She just wrote a check.
It's great.
She just wrote a check.
That's awesome.
And so now we actually own the wall for this coming 9/11 event, as we did last year. But we also have it stored and paid for the 20th anniversary.
Wow.
So that'll be next year.
Wow.
And we're doing big things with it. And it's basically the only 9/11 event here around. No one really does anything with the 9/11 happenings, and as far as a dedicational ceremony and things like that. And our club looks at stuff like that. We need things like that to not just to remind the ugliness of what happened. It's to show the respect of the Brotherhood and the civilians is what we look
Right.
at.
Just sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
The civilians that didn't mean to be, they didn't know they were going to be somewhere. And we honor every one of them. So we do a full public demonstration. We do a motorcycle ride for the motorcycle people. We do a full entire decor, everything out there with a full ceremony, bagpipes, the whole thing.
Good for you, man.
And it's an awesome.
It's great what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
It really is.
It's awesome. We do a lot of different ones, different types of events out there. But that's our pride and joy.
That's great.
The 9/11 event. Not that we like it to have
No,
happened.
of course, but at least you're talking about something that's important. Well, listen, Bill, I appreciate you coming on the show.
too.
It meant a lot to me. It was certainly worth the trip to meet you and to see what this is about and learn more about your organization, about your club, about all the fine people you have in your club, your brothers and your sisters, which is a great thing. I wish you the best. I hope to hear more and more about your club. I'll certainly be in touch with you.
Yeah, follow our page.
I certainly will. I have some things for you that we always give our guests, but I brought a little extra stuff for you since I probably won't see you tomorrow. Right? You're a little far away, yeah. So I have some things here, and earlier you spoke about you mentioned the word PTSD, right? You talked about people taking a life in the fire service, which is it's terrible. This show is not a platform for PTSD. It's certainly nothing we talk about unless the guest wants to talk about it. We don't push it, but we do partner with a great organization called Next Rung. These guys are firefighters. One's out of California, and the other one's out of Georgia.
Right.
Fantastic guys. They have a nonprofit organization called Next Rung. I have some other information here for you, so I'm going to leave this with you. If you wouldn't mind, if you can give these to some of the brothers in your chapter and to some firefighter friends that you know in this area, because this would be great for us to have another area to disperse this information.
Yeah, any information.
Yeah, I appreciate
for
it.
that is warranted.
And these are great guys doing great things. Make sure you check them out. So that's for you. There's plenty there, so you can hand them out. And then I have some pens from them, and everybody likes free stuff.
Oh yeah, don't give those to Steve. my brother Steve over there will take them all.
And then of course everyone likes decals, right? So I bought a bunch of decals for a bunch of guys on your club, so you can hand these out.
Appreciate it.
So that's for you. And then again, there's a whole bunch of decals here.
Okay.
And then
appreciate that.
And then of course every guest that comes on our show gets one of our patches. The only people who get these is someone on the show. So these mean a great deal to us.
Right.
So I got one for you and your wife.
Okay.
So you got
thank you.
Got to have one of those.
It's like our patches.
Exactly.
It's sacred.
It is sacred. Those mean a great deal to us. So we only give them to guests. So we have people asking all the time for them. They'll call and send us emails, and because they know the patches are out there, but unless you have it, it means you weren't on a guest. So.
Right.
And of course, our big decal, we can't go without that.
Got that. Yeah, we went to the Firefighter Memorial over in Ocala, at the Florida State Fire College.
Yes.
Fire College. We do the memorial every year. Last year, they opened up a new wing. So we went and looked at it, and one of the gentlemen that rides with us, his dad was on a picture inside the memorial building. And he goes, "That's my dad." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, look at his number, his service number. He was the first firefighter certified in the state of Florida."
No kidding.
Yeah, cert number 1, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So while we were there, and we're smoke divers, and most people don't know what smoke divers is all about. It's basically the hardest program that you could ever endure being in a fire service world. Smoke divers is a life and death in the training world, not only just being in the real world. It's heavy duty training. I went over, as we were there at the memorial, I went in the administration office, and I heard they had a new smoke divers patch, and it's pretty cool. The older ones were a little different, so I wanted to see the new ones, and I asked the lady if I could purchase one of the smoke divers patches, and she asked me my name and on one of my identification, my driver's license. I'm like, what? Pride, the respect of that.
That's awesome.
You cannot.
Good for them.
That you cannot buy that patch without actually taking that class.
Good. That's the way it should be.
And so when she looked it up, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I don't find you anywhere," and I'm there somewhere. So let me because she had to go back in the dust archives. God forsakes, I hate to say that, but she come back and she goes, "Well, I could sell you 6 of them, but I only have 5." I said, "Why would you sell me 6? Because you've been to the smoke divers program 6 times." I'm like, and she's looking.
So she found you.
Yeah, and so she's shaking her head like, who in the world ever would want to go through that nightmare of that kind of a class 6 times in a row? That is crazy. I'm like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's good.
So that's what we basically, elite-wise, we named the club Smoke Divers.
Perfect. That's perfect. That says a lot about your club, honestly, that it's elite. Well, again, thanks for coming on the show. I certainly appreciate you having me. I appreciate Crystal Harley for allowing us to use this room in order to do your show, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to walk around a little bit and check out the rest of this dealership. It's awesome here.
They'll sell you a bike.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. No problem selling me a bike. So, again, thank you very much for watching the show. Be sure to watch this episode, which is on YouTube. You'll get the link. And also, keep an eye on our Instagram page, and we'll definitely share your Facebook page as well, so you can learn more about the smoke divers and about this great club. I'm glad you had an opportunity to meet Bill, and we're going to take some video of some of the guys in the club, because everybody gets to see that. Stay with us. We'll be back real soon.
Boom, boom, there's a knock at the door, but don't freeze in your tracks. It's that chance that you've been waiting for. It's the light coming through the cracks. When life shows an open door, come on, step through. A chance like the purest gold. Come on, come on. When life shows an open road, you know you should ride. Forget what you've been told and ride this open road. This open road. This open road.